Well, hello, grievers. Mandy here. Restorative grief is all about creating easy access to healing, no matter where or who you are. That's why I want you to remember that if you want grief support beyond a podcast, our Patreon features monthly workbooks to accompany each episode, as well as a Discord channel for more private chats and occasional bonus content as well. Supporting this work with your finances means investing in your own wellness and the healing of others, and that in itself is an incredibly generous and restorative practice. The link to the Patreon is in the show notes, but reach out with questions, okay? Now, let's get on to this week's episode. Welcome back to Restorative Grief with Mandy Capehart. You are listening to episode 150, titled, Am I Responsible for Their Grief? Asking the question, Am I responsible for the grief someone else feels, can significantly impact how we grow with one another through moments of sorrow and change. In relationships, whether with friends, family, or partners, sudden shifts can create emotional distance that prompts us to question our role in others' pain. It's natural to feel a sense of responsibility when someone we care about is hurting, yet it's crucial to recognize that grief is a complex experience that often stems from expectations and the evolution of our connections. By exploring this question with compassion and understanding, we can navigate these challenges more thoughtfully, fostering growth and deeper connections in the process. Relationships change suddenly, whether it's friends, family, or partners. When this happens, both parties are affected, and the path forward isn't always as clear as it used to be. The question arises, are we responsible for the grief the other feels, or the distance that has grown between us? Well, the short answer is not so simple. You're not responsible for how another person feels. You might have taken actions to create the distance, but that's okay. It's common to blame ourselves when people are hurt, but it's important to remember that our actions are often natural responses in relationships. We move closer or further from ourselves and others as we navigate life. This is neither good nor bad, it just happens. So, are we responsible for the grief someone else experiences when we pull away? We are responsible for our part in the relationship, of course, especially with how we offer our connection. And if we pull back, it's natural for the other person to respond by pulling back too. But that doesn't mean we are responsible for their understanding of what happened. That's up to them to sort through. And we can't control how others respond to our truths or changes that we make in our lives. When someone grieves the lack or loss of connection to us, it's because they had an expectation of who we were or how we fit into their lives. This grief and expectation is valid, needs to be understood and navigated, but not necessarily by you. When distance is created in relationships, both sides might grieve. We mourn the loss of understanding and comfort or connection that we once shared. Sometimes it feels like a betrayal of trust or a belief that we can't trust one another anymore. But we have to remember that as we witness someone else grieving a change in our relationship, it's not just about them. We must also consider how we are feeling. It's natural to feel responsible for the distance or the grief that someone feels, but blaming ourselves doesn't help. We need to be compassionate toward ourselves and understand that there are responsibilities that we have for our choices and our actions and the integrity with which we live our lives. We can't control how others feel. Even if we are responsible for the distance between us, we can't take responsibility for their experience and emotions. It's essential to interrupt those thoughts of blame and shame and replace them with thoughts that focus on our values and where we can wield influence. If we want to repair the relationship, we must approach it with compassion, humility, and a willingness to understand. Because we can't force a connection or expect things to go back to how they were. Instead, we must be open to new possibilities and find new avenues to connect. It's okay to ask questions and seek understanding, but in doing so, we need to speak with compassion, not judgment. It would be very easy to take it personally when someone says, "You made me feel this way," and to lash out when all they are asking is to be seen and heard and known. We should be curious about their feelings and willing to listen without assuming responsibility for their emotions. Even if this doesn't resolve the conflict, at least we have shown up and honored their humanity by being as present as possible. So while we might feel responsible for the grief or distance in our friendships, it's essential to remember that we can only control our actions and responses. We must be compassionate toward ourselves and others as we navigate the complexity of grief in relationships and our emotions. Thank you for listening to episode 150 of Restorative Grief. It can feel really odd to consider if you're responsible for the grief another person is feeling, but I think we all ask that question implicitly more often than we realize. Allowing ourselves to connect with the discomfort of how we've shown up in a relationship may not be going the direction we hope is necessary for our growth. But remember, in all connections, we are moving toward or away from one another. We are always moving toward or away from ourselves, too. This spectrum of connection is our opportunity to learn what builds a firm friendship and how you can offer the friendship and support that you want to receive. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, thank you for being here. I hope this brief conversation was helpful and encouraging. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast for future episodes and leave a 5-star review if you feel so inclined. For more resources and support with restorative grief, please visit mandykapehart.com or check out the show notes for links. Find me on social media and connect too, because I love hearing how this work shows up for you and the things you want to learn about. And as always, before we go, one last thing. Please remember, the only solution for grief is to do the work of grieving. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week.